Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome you to today's session, Is There a Ph.D. in Your Future? I'm glad that you're here. My name is Denise Douglas. I'm the Associate Dean in Graduate Studies. The School of Graduate Studies and Calvin Smith Library have partnered today to offer what we hope will be a very informative as well as very practical workshop for all of you doctoral students to really help you think about the doctoral experience as well as practical tips on how to get through this. Kathy Wells, who is standing at my left, had actually brought this idea to me as a way of something that they would like to do, and we thought it was a wonderful idea, understanding that we have a lot of doctoral students who come into the office who are struggling through this period of time. Now, many people are, going right through it, no concerns, but many people really do want to have more information. How do I get through this very difficult process? What we discovered in the process of working together is that I actually have a colleague at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, who has been putting on these workshops for about 2 or 3 years. So we consulted with her to see what this would look like. And this is our pilot here at Case Western. I hope that you will fill out the evaluation form. That is a purple form that you should have received in the beginning. And let us know how this workshop is helpful to you or not, and give us feedback, and so that we can see how we can benefit from that in the future. I'm going to turn it over to Kathy to go over your agendas. Does everyone have one of those? Agenda for the day? Okay, good. I'm going to turn it over to Kathy to go over that.
Thank you, Denise. Hi. As Denise said, I'm Catherine Wells, Assistant Director for Public Services at Calvin Smith Library, and also Business Reference Librarian. There's no need for me to actually read the agenda to you. I hope at PhD students you can read it yourself. But I will just say that the first part of the day, the morning sessions, are a bit more theoretical, ethical practices, the meaning of the dissertation in the larger sense. And then the afternoon, we're focusing on some of the nitty-gritty, and how do you actually get your work into a format where you can submit it and it will be accepted, smooth that road for you. Also, we wanted to spend a little bit of time with Tom Hayes from the Multimedia Center to try to bring to graduate students' attention the value of incorporating some of these wonderful multimedia tools that we have, and using that to enhance the presentation of your information. We're even considering at some point offering some kind of stipend or grant on a competitive basis to students who make innovative use of multimedia in their dissertation. And we have many, many resources and tools, software and hardware, for that. And then Debbie Carodi is actually already teaches a class on how to get your dissertation into Word. Believe me, it's not as easy as you might think, getting it into the format that you need. And then finally, the last session, Calvin Smith Library reference librarians will meet informally, with broad discipline groups, and we really hope that you'll take advantage of this, because we view our job as to help you succeed, and we hope you'll let us do that. We have all of us have had experiences of PhD students coming in and really frantic, can't find what they need, and we've got it. They just didn't know it. So don't put yourself in that position. Take advantage of the resources and services that we have. And finally, as a little reward, each session will have a drawing for a $25 gift certificate to the bookstore. And I just want to reiterate what Denise said. This is our pilot project, so please let us know what works, what doesn't, because there was a lot of demand for this session, and so we think it's a valuable thing to do. Okay, I'll turn it back over to Denise.
Just a couple of housekeeping issues. This session is being videotaped, so don't do anything strange. But we honestly did that just because we had a high demand for this workshop and not enough space, so we will post this on our website. As well as the Calvin Smith Library will have a spot on their website with this available to you as well. Practical reasons, bathrooms are right outside here for women. For men, you need to go all the way down the hallway down by Office of Multicultural Affairs. So I would like to actually turn the session over to Dr. Charles Rozek. He's a Vice Provost and Dean of Graduate Studies, and I'm going to turn it over to him for our welcoming session.
Okay, thank you, Denise, and I want to especially thank Denise and Kathy Wells for all the effort that they put together today to put together a program that really looks like it'll be valuable and provide you with a lot of information. I've been asked to just basically give a little context in terms of the PhD degree, and certainly to acknowledge that this is a very significant time in your career that you're getting towards the completion of your PhD degree. The Doctor of Philosophy degree is the highest academic degree granted by North American universities. The last year that we have complete numbers in terms of number of research doctorates that were granted is for 2008. And in the United States, 48,800 research doctorates were granted. Research universities on average grant about 100 research PhDs per year. Case Western in 2008 granted 205. So there's a significant number of students that go through this process every year. And fortunately, they're all successful in terms of granting that and being able to present their dissertation. The Doctor of Philosophy program is designed to prepare a student to become a scholar. That is, to discover, integrate, and apply knowledge, as well as to communicate and disseminate it. The PhD program emphasizes the development of the student's capacity to make significant, original contributions to knowledge in a context of freedom of inquiry and expression. A well-prepared doctoral student will have developed the ability to understand and critically evaluate the literature of the field and to apply appropriate principles and procedures to the recognition, evaluation, interpretation, and understanding of issues and problems at the frontiers of knowledge. The student will have an appropriate awareness of the commitment to the ethical practices appropriate to the field. All this is accomplished in apprenticeship to and close association with faculty members who are experienced in research and teaching. Now, in today's program, we'll go through technical aspects in terms of preparing the dissertation. Our panelists, represented by faculty members here at Case Western Reserve University, will address a number of issues, and hopefully there'll be an opportunity for you to ask the panelists in terms of their perspectives on various issues which I've outlined here in the dissertation. Denise has asked me to just give a little bit of a personal perspective in terms of the experiences that I had in going through the dissertation phase and the presentation and preparation of it. My PhD degree is in the area of molecular genetics. I received it from the biology department at Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan. The requirements for my dissertation was, basically a formality. We had a very, very strong emphasis in terms of publications. I was fortunate to have 6 publications during my PhD research, and so I could bind those together as chapters, and my primary responsibility was to be able to communicate the connection between the individual pieces of research. So the formation of the dissertation was a somewhat simplified process in terms of the requirement within my degree program. We certainly have to acknowledge that those requirements are very different dependent on the discipline. And if we look across the discipline of the universities, in some disciplines in the humanities and social sciences, the dissertation is a very comprehensive document that is formulated from some proposition in terms of an issue or a particular idea that a student wants to put forth, and a significant body of research that supports that. In the sciences or engineering, we may just see that there is a number of research, and that research topic gets defined over time by the experimentation that a student does. So there may be different approaches that you use to formulate exactly what the dissertation is. So we have to appreciate that there's differences. We know that some of the disciplines here support students more in terms of this writing process of formulating the dissertation. This is something that we want to look at in terms of graduate studies, and whether or not we facilitate this process more readily for you by setting up some kind of workshops that are systematic and spaced throughout your dissertation phase that will help you in terms of formulating that. The other issue that comes up in terms of the dissertation is your interaction with your advisor, with your committee in terms of getting feedback. And this can be something that's very easy, or it can be something that is extremely stressful. And I think that as I was reflecting on today's presentation in this workshop here, looking at the Mentee Handbook, which the Graduate Student Senate has recently formulated, and also the Mentoring Handbook, is that these are one of these processes that you have to negotiate with your advisor. To be aware, your advisor needs to be aware of your time and the anxiety that's associated with putting together your dissertation and completing your degree. And then also we need to be cognizant of the fact that the faculty members are extremely busy, and formulating or identifying that time that you can get the feedback. My own personal process with my advisor, he was not very good. He was disengaged. He was primarily interested in terms of the amount of research that you could formulate and what that meant for his career, which was getting an award of tenure. So when it came down to the dissertation, you know, basically it bled me dry. He got all my research, a lot of publications, and it basically was you know, a formality, and I didn't get a lot of support. But what I did, in which all of you have in terms of access to, is your own colleagues, your own graduate students who are going through the process to be able to look at drafts of you know, different portions of your dissertation. Also to turn to members of your thesis committee to see if they can help you or if they're willing to look at drafts of the dissertation. I mean, it's a very important time for you, and there may be instances where there is that difficulty in terms of transitioning and getting that feedback. I must say that in terms of my experience, made me operate in a very different way with my own PhD students who came through my laboratory. And that is that as they presented me drafts, within 24 hours, I returned it back to them with my comments. And that was something that I learned from my own negative experience to do something better for my students. So just understand that this is a process that you know, we appreciate that it is a stressful time, and that there are you know, ways in which you can approach that. And if there's any time that as you're doing this that you're having significant difficulties, to be able to understand that you can come to our office, you can talk with Denise and myself, and we'll do whatever we can do to facilitate the process. So in closing, I'd like to you know, thank you for coming today. As Denise has expressed, and also Kathy, that this is a pilot project. We're really gratified by the response of the students, or your response of being here today to be able to participate in this. So thank you again for being here today. I'd like to now introduce our next introductory speaker, who is Dr. Lynn Singer, Deputy Provost and Vice President for Academic Programs. Lynn?
Thanks, Chuck.
Sure.
I don't usually hear you called Charles. I usually call Chuck Chuck. So welcome. I'm Lynn Singer, and I'm very happy to see you all here today, even though classes haven't started yet. Denise asked us specifically, first I'd like to thank Denise and Kathy for organizing this. I think it's really important to think through some of the hurdles that you'll be possibly facing in the next couple of months. The first thing I want to say is that your dissertation is neither the be-all or end-all of your career, but it can be a significant, I think, launching point for great success for many of you if you're interested in an academic career. It could end up just being some very fine, obscure piece of work, and that's fine. You've learned how to do research. But it is a significant opportunity, I think, to get started on a great academic career. It was for me, at least. And I'm thinking about personally, as Denise had asked us to, brought back a number of memories for me. I went into my dissertation defense with a cast on my right arm from playing softball and being pushed over by some aggressive player. So I was trying to type up my dissertation with my one left hand, which was terrible. But I must say that as a strategy, going into something called a defense with a weak vulnerability of a cast does elicit empathy, if not pity, from the people you need to defend yourself against. And I think, unfortunately, that's the the idea that this is a defense as opposed to going in and saying, this is the work I've done, is a little bit of the history that we share in terms of dissertations. But it's generally not that way. I think if you choose the right mentor, if you have the right mentor, and certainly on campus we have many great people here, including the deans of the graduate school, who are interested in supporting you, and this should be a supportive environment. Because it reminds me of, if you are here at this point in your career, you should not be ABD, ever. I mean, you have the ability, you have the skills. It's really a matter of perseverance. And I'm a pediatric psychologist, so what I used to tell parents when they were toilet training is, don't worry, by the time he's in college, he will be toilet trained. And this is the case for you. By the time you will get through this, and you will have your dissertation if you want to. So, basically, my advice to you is choose a good mentor. I think that's the most important thing. And just a couple of things about what a good mentor is. I think a mentor is kind and supportive. If your mentor is abusive, verbally or in any way, or non-supportive or non-responsive, you need to tell us. You need to get someone involved in helping you through that process. That's not the way it should be. I think your mentor should also be somebody, if you can, who's already accomplished or who has a significant trajectory that you can predict from accomplishment, and often you can see that from, even if they're a young faculty member, as Chuck was saying, a pre-tenured faculty member, somebody who has had a great mentor themselves and has a body of work. We're into team science now. It's no longer, well, team science, and some of you are probably in the humanities. I come from the science fields. But there's a lot of people behind all of this. So you can kind of see where your mentor has come from, what kind of training they've had, whether or not they understand that team spirit and the supportive mentoring spirit that they should be providing for you. Your mentor should also, especially if you're interested in an academic career, be involved with the other important people in your field and should introduce you to those people. I was very fortunate in that my mentor, I kind of came into academia with absolutely no knowledge, not really wanting to be in academia, just really wanting to be a therapist. So I kind of learned things along the way from my mentor and was very fortunate. He's still here, Joe Fagan. He was somebody in our department who was very unusual, who used to take the graduate students to conferences every year, introduce them to his peers and peers in the science. And so by the time I was out and writing a grant, I found that all the reviewers for my grant were the people I had already met. And that does make a huge difference in terms of knowing what's going on and being part of a field. So your mentor should be doing some of those things for you and not be like Chuck's mentor. Finally, I would just say to you, as a graduate student, one of the biggest mistakes I see graduate students make in terms of dissertation, I almost did this myself, is kind of come in with a fixed idea of somehow you have the answer to something that only you know, and you're going to do this very special thing that nobody else does here, and that you're going to kind of create this new science yourself. It really is often better to rely on your mentor to help you think through what the great problems are that need to be solved and the experiments that need to be done and the work that could be done in your dissertation. I know I came in with an idea. I spent hours in the library working on a plan. It was flexibility of thinking, and I had come from a special education background. Of course, we had no education school here, but after all of the work that I had done in the library and came up with my plan, I went to an advisor or somebody whom I wanted to mentor me, and she said, "Oh, nobody here does this. We can't do this. Go see Joe Fagan." And when I went to see him, he said, "This is garbage. I don't want to do this. Why don't you come and work for me and do infant psychology?" So I did that. And I really didn't have any choice. But others do often try to push and go their own way. And I think that's a mistake. You know, there are certain strengths of the university and of the mentors that are here, and you need to take advantage of those. And so be a little bit flexible. I was very not keen on doing the work I was doing. It was infant perceptual development, but actually it ended up being a great influence on my career. I ended up integrating it into the work that I did in terms of longitudinal studies of high-risk infants. And as of last year, even 2 years ago, I went to Vietnam, basically on the work that we did when I was a graduate student that Joe was piloting at that time. So it's very interesting how your career may turn out. So I would say be flexible and be open to the strengths that are there in your department and not so rigid. So that's all I want to say. Good luck. I think you'll all get through this. You've all been chosen to come to this school because you're excellent students and excellent scientists and researchers and historians or whatever. So it's just really a matter of getting through. And please remember that the deans of graduate studies are here. We have student affairs staff, the Vice President for Student Affairs, who are available to talk with you if you have other concerns. I'm always available, and we're here to help. Your department chairs, the deans of the schools are all here to support you and help you, and you shouldn't have to do things alone. So thank you, and have a great day.